Hey there, I'm Tara from Wild Bird Farm. I garden here in Zone 5 in central Iowa. Today we're going to talk about 3 garden mistakes I made last year and how we're correcting them now. So we'll talk more when we get out to the actual areas, but I'm going to run through the 3 areas that we didn't do quite right last year and I want to fix this year. So the first one is on the east side of our shop. I don't think you've ever seen over there. It's mostly just heavily mulched. 2 springs ago, I added hellebores and astilbe. The astilbe over there might be doing okay. I think the hellebores are struggling. So when you guys see video in a little bit, let me know as coming up through their second season if they're looking like they're struggling or if this is how they should look. Astilbes like dappled sunlight, lots of shade, and they like a woodland atmosphere. So planting them under a tree that has a lot of organic matter and mulch works really well. We don't really have any trees on our property that are landscaped like that. So I tried to create that environment over on the east side of the shop. I'm not sure I did a good job. I think they're pelted by the wind. And I'm not sure they're getting enough shade. So right now we're heading towards noon in early April and they're still in full sunlight. So I planted them on the east side thinking they'd only get morning sun, but I wonder if in the early months, maybe they're getting too much sun. Now, as you'll see, there are a few blooms and I only had 1 single bloom last year. So I don't know, maybe they just take a while to develop, but I'm thinking I might want to move them into one of the hoop houses. So definitely weigh in on that after you see the video of what they're looking like. So here is my sad row of hellebores. I think I have 12 or 16 here. Again, the second year, not seeing many blooms yet, although this year on a couple plants, I do see a few blooms pushing through. I'm wondering if they're a little bit late though, or later than they should be. There is a lot of dead matter. I know I should probably come through and cut this off. There's just not as much green as I expected. And then the astilbe is behind it. Now my astilbe around my landscaping of my home isn't really pushing new growth yet either, so I'm not too worried about that yet. Secondly, I planted out columbine last year. I think it was McKay's giant columbine. If that isn't right, I'll write it on the screen. They grew well. They look great right now. You know, columbine pop up early. I had weeded the area and mulched it heavily, but throughout the season, I didn't get flowers last year, so I was kind of ignoring it, and it got very weedy. And you'll notice as we're out there, I have a lot of work to do. I originally thought I was gonna dig them up and even transplant them, but since they are, I mean, they're good sized plants already coming back this second year. So I don't really want to move them. I have some Nora Barlow columbine that I want to add out there. So I really just need to get that area very well weeded, and then either get more mulch down or maybe pull the mulch back and put cardboard down and then mulch. But I definitely need to work on that area and not let it get away from me again this year. Here is that bed where I planted the columbine. Now this is running north and south in my annual bed, and you can see that we have really nice clumps for just being a year old. I planted these out last spring, but the perennial long invasive grasses just really overtook this bed. Now a lot of it looks like die-off, but as I'm going to pull it up, there's definitely some roots that are still alive in the soil. So I am going to have my work cut out for me. But these columbine are going to probably spread a little bit by seed, but then also each of these clumps will get larger. So eventually this area will really fill in nicely and sort of shade out those weeds. But for the next few years, I'm really going to have to stay on top of this. I do have a nice stretch here, and there will be room for me to plant out the Barlow columbine starts this year. So I think my plan is just to really clean up this bed. And then the final mistake, I planted out daffodils 3 and 4 years ago. They've been in the ground a while now. Well, my husband was helping me out mulch, and they're kind of around the perimeter of our annual field. And it was after springtime, after they had bloomed. I think this was 2 years ago. And he mulched, and he didn't realize that the daffodils were there. He mulched really heavily, like I would say a good 12 inches. So last season, I didn't really realize it until it was almost too late. I pulled some of the mulch back, but I didn't have many daffodils. I forgot about it again, and I was out there just yesterday, and I just kind of panicked. I've got to get all this mulch off the daffodils, and I have video of that. But I really need to get that area in shape as well. There were sunflowers that were planted over that, and they did well last year, but I have some volunteers coming back, as well as some weeds and a lot of dead matter from those sunflowers that I really need to dig in and get that cleaned up, and especially right now, get that mulch pulled back. So hopefully I have some daffodil blooms. So here we are, just traveling farther down that fence line. I started the daffodils here, and then I wrapped them around towards the west. But you can see every time I come out here, I find more. So I really need to make this a priority to get all of this mulch pulled back, so we can see some blooms from these. But again, it's doing a good job keeping the weeds down for the most part, so I can't complain too much. I just wish I would have done a little bit better job cleaning up this area and pulling that mulch back last fall. Here I am finding some more. It's kind of like a treasure hunt every time I come out here. And you can see these tips of the daffodils are very yellow. That's because they were completely covered up with mulch until yesterday when I came out. On a few of them, they have green tips, so they were just starting to stick out, and that's where I kind of figured out how I had planted them, kind of in a meandering pattern down this bed. This just goes to show how hardy daffodils are, that they have survived under this mulch and still want to push out and grow. So I need to get in here, not only pull the mulch back around them, I'm showing you some sunflower seeds popping up there, but also really need to clear all of this debris, mostly sunflower stems from last season. The earliest daffodils that bloom around here, I have planted on the south side of my house. Those are blooming right now. Now I know I have a lot of replete out here, and they're a little bit later, but I think they're definitely stunted from being covered up from the mulch. And then one more thing I wanted to mention, I got some gloves to try in the mail, and I wish I had used them yesterday when I was pulling back all that mulch, because my fingertips feel sort of bruised today. I don't know if you've ever gotten that feeling before. But I pulled these out of the package again this morning, and they have kind of like a suede-ish feel on the inside. The tops of the gloves are real lightweight. They're pretty too. There's different patterns. But then they're reinforced here on the palm and the fingers. And I think this would have helped out my fingers so much yesterday, because especially I'm left-handed, especially on my left hand, my fingers are still pretty sore. So if you're interested in this, these are the Slarmore gloves. There's the name, and they said they were gonna send me a discount code. So if I get that before I post this video, I'm gonna put that on the screen. But a little bit heavier duty. I see these working great for when you are maybe pruning back some of your bushes, as I just went through when I did my lavender. You know, that's not a real soft plant. These would have been great. So something to check out. That wraps things up for today. I hope you're having a wonderful week. If you would like and subscribe, I am getting very close to 3,000 subscribers on my channel, and we're gonna do a giveaway once I get there. So I appreciate your support. Until next time.